Hello everyone, I'm CDWile and today we continue reading World and Economica. Um, and before we start, I believe I should say what there will be no stream. I mean, n- at least not World Economica stream on next Saturday. I mean, on this Saturday. Um, main reason why it's kinda because I think I get some little spoilers, mostly by me making thumbnails and seeing event images, and because of that one image, I have a little concern that it can be a bad ending for this first episode, and yeah, maybe it won't be, but uh, I kind of just don't want. If it will be a case with but I think I don't want to get it right before New Year, so I decided to replace stream on Saturday with an hour novel. It gonna be Tiny Snow. Have no idea what it is, uh, but it's short, so yeah. And what about World of Economica? We're gonna finish it on next Tuesday, probably. Well, yeah, probably. I don't know how much hours left for reading it, but I believe we count on previous stream it was something about 3 hours. Mm, yeah, because of that we probably shouldn't get stream too um, long today, just in case. Otherwise, there won't be anything to on our stream for our stream when we gonna finish it. Um, and speaking of this, let me again find um how exactly how much it left read for us for this episode. Um, so I can try and divide more or less evenly between these two streams, or at least try. Since obviously I'm not exactly sure how much time it's gonna take us for reading, because I pretty much just watching this on time on an hour videos from an hour channels on YouTube. Mm, and it's not really well. It can there's a big chance that it's not gonna uh, second worlds um uh, correspond to our time, how much it's go exactly for reading for us. Hmm. Well, obviously, because I'm not really good in English, and also uh, video what I'm not watched, but check for trying to figure out time. It's from Russian channel, mostly because our channel what I'm seeing unfortunately have don't have titles, which mean I can't really figure out what the stream's about, or I mean no streams are about videos, but yeah. So again, let's count. I believe it was Hmm. Yeah, I'm counted. Okay, now I know, or at least I can check how much we can read for today. Um, okay, and so now let's just try to remember what we read before on previous stream. So they Haru and Hagana finish contest. Unfortunately for them, they only took second place eventually. Um, what else? Well, pretty much all episodes was not episode, but previous part, previous stream was about them and contest. Um, well, one interesting thing I believe in previous stream, Haru told Hagana why he wanted to win. Yes, which was kind of nice. Um, but they didn't win. Mm, so yeah, what else? Mm, 1 second. Let me close window. Sorry, there is someone cleaning his car right outside my window, and it's as always I'm a little afraid of it gonna be hearable on stream. So yeah. So what else? So they didn't win tournament contest, but after they finish. Haru gets some emails, but they don't know yet what this emails is about, and also they get call from Sraut, and Sraut said what they gonna go to them to church, and for some reason he actually going here with a collector, a loan collector, debt collector. Um, yeah, and this is definitely interesting because for now we don't know why it's going on. I mean, I see pretty much two variants. Maybe everything good and there is no they don't need to pay this money anymore. I don't really believe in this, but hey, why not? Uh, let's get happy ending. But another thing, they probably saw another bad things about loan. But it's kinda interesting. Because even if they need just paid it immediately, they they are have money. So yeah, there's probably something else going on here. But I guess we're gonna figure out it on this theme. So I guess let's continue reading. Okay. I didn't remember who initiated, but until the intercom rang, my hand was on top of hers under the table. When I let go, it felt a bit lonely. Probably we should stop on this place, but whatever. Still working. Yo! When I opened up the church door, Cyril's big face was right in front of me. And then, next to him, uh, seen like a ghost, with the only side of life in his eye, sorry, in his eyes, stood Tayama. Then Tayama and Kagana stood face to face. Neither of them looked upset. Tayama was not different from before, which meant Kagana was the one who had changed. Besides, it was more or less given that the loan could be repaid. Because that understanding calmed her mind. So, what are you here for? Hagan and I sat side by side, while Tayama and Sirao sat on the opposite side. Tayama held something that looked like a attaché case, while Sirao was empty-handed. You're not going to bring out some tea or something. Well, your shop is also self-serve, you know? That is true. Well, that's fine. There's something that needs to be discussed. Sirao looked at Tayama, who was next to him. I have already talked to Lisa about this, but Tayama said, Hagan, Hagan and I exchanged looks while Sirao scratched his head. Looks like she didn't talk to them about it. About what? Sorry about that. Tayama, if you will. Ah. Tayama nodded as if he were signing. He opened the attaché case under the chair, pulled out tobacco, and placed it on the table. The, the overpacked bag had a utilitarian design, with its sturdiness perhaps being the only selling point. There is 150,000 moons in here. Huh? I want you to make money, as much as you can with this amount. Hmm, interesting. I couldn't imagine this being some kind of dog. However, I could only think of it as a joke as my eyes moved towards the bag Taeyang took out. Taeyang followed the movement of my eyes and opened the bag for Mia to see. Then he turned it upside down, red blankness tumbled out. All of the bills looked well worn, and were wrapped up with rubber bands. It was like a scene from a mafia movie, but this was reality. And without a doubt, that money was real. In times like this, I am embarrassed by this money, but that's the nature of business. I hope you'll be understanding. No, wait just a moment. What's with this money? It's not dirty money. I know that it looks bad. This is money I managed to scrape together one way or another. That's not what I mean. Liam didn't flinch at my words at all before speaking. Have you not both taken money from my clients and make it grow? What sounded like trading words to me, but I had no intention of standing down to Tayama, and perhaps that was the fault of my determination. What, something wrong with that? No, that's also a help to me. Tayama said, I more or less understand whenever or not my clients will pay back their loans. Because through the grapevine I heard about your exploits, and wanted to support you both wholeheartedly. So, you decided you're going to join up with the drags. At my words, Tayama laughed feebly. My philosophy is that I will loan out money even to those who I don't foresee being able to pay it off, so long as I can trust them. But I won't gamble. What is what I've decided? Stocks aren't about gambling. Ah, my apologies. I didn't intend to speak ill about it. But whatever or not you two are able to grow the funds that you gathered, is that not gambling? I could hear that it was just play on words, but it wasn't as if I didn't understand. In the beginning, in the case of Chris' parents, they wouldn't have come by have come by to entrust Hagana with their saving if they didn't know about her. So, since you hate gambling at all, why do you come all this way with all that money then? I'll have him to do the explaining. Hmm, interesting. So, I guess they're together. Okay, interesting. It's not exactly what I expected here. Hmm, but because of this, it's kinda interesting. Diane said that and looked at Gerald. Right, Gerald was here. Why was Gerald here anyway? Ah, you needed me to do it. Please. Diane looked as if his energy was completely sapped as he spoke. Gerald signed and leaned forward on the table. You've heard about Lisa's debt, right? Yeah. That's was just a rumor. For someone as straight-laced as Lisa, she wouldn't have allowed that debt to persist. I figured something was up, so I did some searching. And then suddenly all the people around here started feeling the strain from debt, right? I thought that was kinda strange, so I called up old Mantayama here, and we talked about it. He said that all in one brief. Old Mantayama here is also in a bind. About that, I held back the words I already know, as Gerald's massive nudging moved closer. So, do you know about the guys behind the scenes as well? Behind the scenes? In the beginning, I thought I was just a simple debt collector. It was true that the nice guy who funded Tayama had died from disease, and relatives of his back on Earth had sold that debt to someone else. Maybe those guys living on Earth didn't think that they could collect debts from anyone on the moon on their own. The edge of the orbital elevator was nothing to sneeze at. And, if nothing else, the moon was famed for overflowing with the money of the deceased. If that were the case, there was nothing weird about selling it off to someone in the business. But in that case, what's the problem? Well, the moon is a place to make money after all. There are a lot of guys out. There are a lot of guys out there who are even sketchier than the ones you'd find back on Earth. I've had a company that I had built up with my own hard work and determination taken away from me. And in that desperation, Lisa had saved me. So said Gerald, a poor owner of a cafe, on the outskirts of the town whose impressive career was mentioned by even the cops. Programming ability was top tier and was able to fulfill all of Hagana's requests. Thus, my gut told me, it all sounded fishy. So, I checked up on the people pressing Tayam for money. And it was just as I had thought. It was a well-known land speculator. Land speculator? They aren't rare on Earth, and are on the moon in Newton City. There is a whole bunch of them. But for this area they are still kind of rare. I don't really get that you're saying. A land speculator? That's someone who buys up land or building or something. What would someone do with buying up land in this poverty? Striking area. Faced with my dumbfounded expression, Cyril spoke with a greedy thief. The Lunar City government had informal tasks about the redevelopment plan. Once again, they weren't words I was expecting. My brain couldn't follow all of that. So this actually was something what I guess we predicted a little before. Yeah, I believe so. Because I believe it was mentioned before, but building some new houses for people who work in Newton City in outer sections. So yeah. So this makes sense. But now they probably gonna try and get this land for building more houses or something like this. Once again, they weren't what I was expecting. My brain couldn't follow all of that. On the lunar surface, there's development right now on a new city, and for the sake of maintaining dominance as their foremost city and the center of the moon, The development is a necessity and such. Well, in short, they want to take this decrepit place and make it shine, so what they won't be beaten by any new city. Naturally, there are a lot of interests tangled up in all this, but in this case, these debts have nothing to do with the rights to the land and property. Tema spoke. Ah, the north surface is the frontier. Thus, there is a need for laws to be in place. This is the most important of vested interests for a developer. And if one were to own their land, if the people borrowing the land were built upon it by their own ability, I would dare to say that city development would more likely support that of the people who built their homes on that land. Like, rights are the same as that of the landowner, at least to that extent. On that note, there are a lot of homes that were built from scratch. Yet, you must have seen it for yourself as you went flying around, right? It seemed that he had seen me around somewhere. But I understood that he meant. In this area there were nothing but buildings that were forcibly built up and complicated in their construction. Forget even trying to navigate through them. It seemed that there were many places where you couldn't tell where one home ended and another began. While the administration had flirted with the idea of forcibly seizing property, well, a lot of money would have to be paid to the rights holders, or perhaps those people might be offered the rights to live there afterwards. But the problem is that the people found out about this informal meeting, eyeing a possible increase in value, and wanted to corner the market. So then, who are the guys that hold you debt? Yes, as being targeted. At any rate, that is why money has been loaned out to those living in this neighborhood who are likely not to return it. With these debts, without having to go knocking door to door and negotiate, dozens of properties for the most part can be seized. A cheaper way of doing things. When debt outweighed assets, that was to be expected, and thus, with Tayama's foolhardy but kind-natured manner of loaning out money, this had the reverse result. A tight-fisted moneylender would only lend out to people who looked like they could return. And only as much as they could return. But for Tayama, if the client could be trusted, even if it exceeded their ability to pay it back, he was willing to be patient by having them only pay the interest. Certainly, the borrower would be grateful afterwards, but they probably just figured it was Tayama after all. If the borrower knew from the beginning that their property would get wrapped up in it, it would be the same as being strung up with a noose. This was especially dangerous given that a lot of them were slow-witted enough to not foresee that happened if they borrowed from Tayama, thus they relaxed their guard. People like that, with their nose lightening around their necks, were plentiful in the neighborhood. With redevelopment, this place will not be the same. Bluntly speaking, it will completely lose its identity. Beautiful shopping malls, beautiful residential units, beautiful roads. It would look like an extension of White Belt, perhaps. Of course, it would be a lonesome sight. But what saddened me the most is after all that was done to support these people, without getting any fair payment, they are being forcibly evicted. I understood Tayama's exhaustion. Due to his well-meaning loans, the noose around the necks of those burdened by debts tightened. And then, due to how things were managed, when asked to pay back the funding, Tayama was unable to do so. They say the road to hell is paved with good intentions. The perfect example of that statement was right in front of me. If we can hold out until the decision on redevelopment happens, there won't be problem. There won't be a promise as administration will then get on board with negative. Take everything they have away, with only the debt left behind on top of not having a place, and then the shiny city will bestow upon the rights holders a rather large profit. The development also takes on the meaning of dividing up the wealth of the lower class. If you use tax from big corps in Newton City ranking in the down towers redevelopment, and even people living on the outskirts supporting the majority of Newton City would benefit. But if the land speculators were to have their way with things, in the end all of this will consist of only the rich getting richer. You come from the east, right? Cyril looks right at me. Around where you're from, weren't there people who came to the moon after having been displaced by greater powers back on Earth? Weren't there, he said. My mind was filled with both anger and amusement. It was nothing but those kinds of people. It was only with those kinds of people. Lisa is no exception either. So, it isn't right for this to happen again. This is the moon, the frontier. Those who inspired effort must be rewarded. Crowd leaned forward as he said that. The atmosphere was no longer the same as that of his dull attempts to show off. Gerald had once come from Earth and pursued success on the moon. And the merciless power of the city took everything away from him. My glance moved from Gerald to the bag that Am had brought in. 30 banknotes had fallen out of the bag. Those dirty banknotes were carefully folded up by respectful people. Interesting. But I see. So I guess they already asked her to use this money for making more money. But I see here a little problem. At least I think there is a problem. And it seems like it's not enough money. Like, Caro already have, I believe, more money they giving them. So I don't see how they can actually use it to make enough money for stop bad thing to happen. Well, I guess they gonna figure out something. You have the funds gathered from ours. That and this 150,000 moles. If I have 800,000 moles gathered together, the seed money can be paid back. In doing so, the people here in this town will be able to keep hold of that they have. Okay, it's actually not that bad as I expected. I was thinking it's probably need like millions and millions, or like that. I mean, it makes sense. They need only pay the loans. The people who endured the earth and come here to endure this will finally be rewarded. Diana spoke with horror. Beyond their actual appearance, the banknotes in front of me overwhelmed me with what they represented. The money out of our disposal was 500,000 moons. Adding 150,000 moons to that put us at 650 moons. It was less than 30% to get to 800,000 moons. Numerically, it isn't impossible, I believe. I should say that I understand the money that you've gathered from ours is everything that have. Plus, were you to be near 800 moons, it wouldn't be enough. Living expenses. For the folks running a business, there were operating costs. And for the infirm, there were medical costs. And for those with children, there were educational costs. The ones wanting to The ones waiting to collect on these debts are approaching in force, but I think we should be able to hold out for a month. I wish for you growth whose funds. 40% or maybe at least 50%. And I looked at Hagana, and she pursued her lips, and she looked at the banknotes on the table. It's possible that she saw in it the irrationality of society. What's the deadline? Asked a much more important question. Hagana's pale complexion stiffened. Nearby Sirao also looked downcast. I had a bad feeling about this. In the beginning, I'm intending of holding of the assault of the people pursuing me to pay back the seat money, saying that he picked up a piece of paper from the attaché case. It seems old-fashioned in an era where electronic agreement was the norm, but perhaps that's why it scared such strong air of intimidation. It was written in a business style with a government endorsement on it. If involved in repeated debt defaults, immediate repayment is requested. The individual who loaned me that money really was an easygoing person. If you can help ours with 800,000 moons, then just say the word and I'll loan it to you at once. And no matter how many times the repayment period is exceeded, I'd write up a new contract with updated terms. But the history remained. Before long, I was a no good debtor. Due to that, in front of the courts, I would have no choice but to present this certified document. In our words, if repayment is not made within the span of a week, my assets will be seized. The assets in Tayama's possessions include just about the entirely of the townspeople's debt. In an instant, the person holding the ropes around the people next will change from the kind-hearted Tayama to a money monger. 1 week? In 1 week? Why didn't you say that earlier? If that were the case, it would have postponed the invested contest. I stopped. I stopped in mid-sentence, as I remember Siral's words. When this conversation first started, he had said that it appeared that Lisa hadn't talked to us about it yet. Lisa knew about it. She knew about it all along. Don't blame Lisa for this. Sirald said that right off the bat. We talked to Lisa about it repeatedly. Things would be bad if we waiting too long, and that things could not be. Sorry. And that things could not be undone if someone didn't act. But Lisa stubbornly wouldn't agree to that. She said that if I were to go to you and Hagana to talk about it, when she get really mad. Why? I don't get it at all. Get it at all. You two really were in a trance, right? Gerald's pained expression pierced my chest. I dialed back to the time I had spent together with Hagana. It was without a doubt a warm and wonderful time. Lisa is that kind of a person. She can't be influenced by things. Instead, she cares more about the connection between people. With the exception of books, probably, but I think she's probably going to start with books. What? She's that kind of a person. And if she no longer had a piece to live, clothes to wear, or things to eat, she can still find a way to continue to live in happiness. Really believes that. Lisa said that it was after many friends and family lost everything, in a conflict zone that she walked that narrow path and managed to reach the moon. If there not something that we can do? Sorry, is there not something that we can do? Hmm. We can give up money, but we can't give up these cross paths. She would say, Lisa didn't want to get in the way of you two. There was nothing I could say. I didn't have any words that were ready to go. Good intentions. This was a good intention. But with good intentions, this road led to hell. Mm, it's kind of was, I believe, mistake from Lisa. Don't talk about this because if they have more time, it was much easier for them, especially science. In the end, this contest wasn't so important. I only kind of can give them a lot of money, but still, like, depth was much more important here. That is why we waited up until now. It is stirring me up inside. You can see that in Tayama. Tayam, who looked like a zombie before, was now completely a mummy. It wasn't just Tayam's own assets. He was burned with the fate of ours. But with 1 week, you two should be able to do something, alright? At the very least. But, as that Serral said, this was a much more reasonable way to go rather than for us to go to the casino. Given the situation, they were willing to go that direction. True, it wasn't impossible. Still, the virtual marketplace of the US contest was one thing, but being able to make 50% profit in 1 week on the actual market. Of course, theoretically it wasn't impossible. It wasn't out of the question to hit the 50% mark in a single day. However, 650,000 moves in total funds was an wildly amount. Worse than that, were we to fail, it wouldn't just be our failure. But I couldn't choose to not do it. No matter what, that wasn't possible. Will you take up this task? I opened my mouth. However, no words came out. No way that they would. This was a serious discussion, not a comfortable situation where it wouldn't be held against us if we lost. We hadn't gathered simple, naive hopes from these people with nowhere else to turn. It was a far more serious act of resistance against the continued irrational system brought from Earth. There's no one to turn to over than the two of you, please. Ryan placed his hands on the table and lowered his head, Japanese style. Perhaps he had researched that I was a child of Japanese immigrants, and then I couldn't bring up the courage. But just then, something warm was placed on top of my hand. It sent a shock through me as I looked to my side. It couldn't have been anyone else. Hagana. Hana glared at me firmly with whose energy filled the deep black eyes of hers. Hal said it to me. And then her lips moved, and she said it precisely. It's not the theory or not it can be done. I squeezed Hagana's hand, but keep going until it works. Hana was silent. After a moment she nodded. Yes. So, I tried desperately not to tear up, for fear of Tayama raising his head and catching me. So I doubled my effort to keep a stoic face as I spoke. Better be properly compensated for all of this. Tayama's exhausted face managed a smile. I'll throw in a generous amount of interest. And with that, all of us were now in the same boat. Interesting. Afterwards, when Seralt was about to leave, he reminded me about Lisa. But I had no intention of blaming Lisa for this. Same with Hagana. That was why, in case Lisa was waiting outside for us to finish talking and came home with instant look on her face, Hagana and I wouldn't say anything in particular. The cash Tayama had brought was still here, so what happened here was obvious. But while we ate dinner, as we always did, I would report that we had lost at the invested contest. Liz would smile and say, "That's too bad." I would take out the 50,000 moons in prize money, and after reporting that the debt had been paid, she would look a bit sorry, uncomfortable, but smile and say thank you. Kagane and I did not discuss this at all. What needed to be done and how was completely decided. In that case, all what we left was to do it. To keep going until things went right. But for me, there was also the situation with Barton. Heading from Hagana, I stealthily looked over mail from Barton and my eyes darted over the contents. There were comforting words congratulating me on a second place finish. Moreover, there were words praying the rather impressive judgment in each successful trade, regardless of the result. After that, there were words confirming that we discussed it before. I hesitated for a brief moment before I wrote a response in one stroke. I certainly want to take up on that offer, but I'd like just a bit more time. Barton's reply comes swiftly. Was there a problem? I reported that there was a problem that I had resolved at all costs. His response was received about 2 minutes later. In proportion to the time, it was perhaps the shortest response this far. More than happy to assist at any time. Thank you very much, I responded, with sincerity to these words. From the next day on, it was the second coming of the investment contest, but the stakes were different. On top of that, this time around, things were more complex. The program would be used in the actual marketplace, that it hadn't yet been tested. Mistakes wouldn't be forgiven. Indecision also wouldn't be forgiven. A 50% profit in a week was an insane level of performance. If leverage from margin trading was to be utilized, the hurdle would be reduced to 70%. But I didn't want to go through with 3 times the mental strain. The amount of capital was also something that couldn't be disregarded. Will this work out? Khan asked in genuine manner. There is no other choice. Besides, while opening up the margin trading screen, I spoke. You've got leverage here too. Huh? Well, you are here, aren't you? I forced out aloud, and Haga applauded and turned away. Despite having no expression, her face was red, and her lips showed her displeasure. Haga and I immersed ourselves in trading. Lisa went about her usual business and supported us in a variety of ways. However, she did say that at least we should sleep separately. It seems she'd caught on. While Hagan did respond tentatively, in the end, after working in my room, she fell asleep at the desk from fatigue, and I ended up carrying her to bed. She did open her eyes at one point when I picked her up, but she relaxed and did nothing. While I thought about just telling her to move herself, that self-indulgence was way too cute, and I couldn't get myself to say it. Along with the expression in her eyes, she was like a pedigree cat of its guard. Hagan and I did the best that we could. After hearing about our exploits, the people who were bonded by debt would come by with all sorts of provisions. And Chris Fowler volunteered to be a night watchman, figuring that whose money mongers might try to do something while we sleep. Day by day, we built up whose profits. Real trading was ruthlessly complex. Due to spending so much time with the investment contests, the program's accuracy was exceptionally off. But now and then, Hagan updated it in real time, and Cyril taxed as backup, so I was able to go all out and chase after that alpha. Separately, they were very weak. But take 0.1% each time and pile it up 1,000 times, and it become 100%. For satellite probes heading into outer space, Its proportion came from the spewing of small ions. For people who dealt with the hardship and tribulations of the irrational, irrational, sorry, irrational, irrational, sorry, I guess today another day I'm kinda struggling with words and with reading. Mm, irrational, rationality. Okay. The irrationality of society and the alchemists of the lunar surface were siphoning money away from their precious assets, almost like some sort of Robin Hood. With the size of the funds tripled through leverage, and with Hagan's support, we rushed through the battlefield. Extracting profits also brought about losses. Cutting down UFO would lead to yourself being cut down. As we were born with something amazing while fighting, people training on the other side of the screen found with real money of their own as well. I wondered whether wishing for our own success was like wishing for the failure of an hour, me and an hour Hagan on the other side of the screen. That wasn't some completely delusion. It was plenty plausible. But we had to go through with this. We had to continue desperately. But reality was laboring and slow. And, hmm, okay. Anyway, trying to figure out how much else I want to read today. Hmm. I mean, we'll see. I I guess we try reading something about half an hour more, and then probably gonna stop. Or maybe stop earlier if we find some good point for this. Since next year will be on holiday, and I can take more time to finish it. But anyway, it was the 5 day since we started training. Saturday evening. Monday was the date I needed to pay back the loan. With Sunday it been win, there was only 1 day left. Total assets were at 720,000 moles, only a 10% increase. On top of that, I was putting all of my available funds in use. Due to continue training after the investment contest, when training was done, we really were literally out of breath. My body was at its limit. Hagan did not mention it to me, but once in a while, she'd run to the toilet to throw up when her physical condition got particularly bad. There's still 1 more day left. And thought I didn't say anything, Hagan said it. That was one way to say that the situation was painful. And Lisa is. Hearing that, Hagan shook her head. She had spent the day with me immersed in trading, so there was no way of knowing. Speaking of which, up until recently Hagan would ask me about Lisa while I was immersed in trading. At that time, I'd say that I didn't know, and Hagan would have a distinctly displeased expression on her face, as if calling me useless trash. Looking back, I could see that I come a long way. It occurred to me that I had spent a long time here, uh, going to the bathroom. Hagan said that and stood up. She headed to the bathroom unsteadily, so perhaps she had to throw up again. Myself, I still had the runs, so I couldn't always keep foot down. How Lisa had a worried expression on her face seeing me like this. She didn't say anything. And if she said sorry, and if she said anything, we definitely had no intention of stopping, and she had no choice but to let us continue. Plus, Lisa started to pray often in the church. In the middle of the night, when I headed to the bathroom, I would realize that there was someone in the church. When I looked, it was usually Lisa. She was praying fervently to the crucified, bearded guy. Perhaps this endeavor was a pointless struggle in the end. But with where strong became stronger. In Newton City Central Station, I saw the uh, sta- mm, statue of E.J. Rosberg, founder of the leading bank on the moon. He was also called a fool for throwing himself into investing, and the result of that unbelievable effort was the elevation of his status to what it was currently. With such good fortune not paying us a visit, I wondered what was going on as I became assailed by all these pessimistic thoughts. I thought it was impossible as we proceeded, but it really was impossible. I didn't want to listen to such an obvious conclusion. Just 80,000 moves more. No, what I desired was 100,000 moves. If living expenses and various other things weren't taken care of, the towns won't be able to pay off their debts and will fall victims to their money mongers, who were licking their lips in anticipation. On the last day, will we be able to gain enough in profits? Short of miracle, it was impossible. A miracle, a miracle. At that moment, I became aware of a fragment of that miracle. Hmm? Hal, I've been thinking. Hagan said that as she came back from the bathroom. Now she came back from the bathroom. The area around her mouth looked a bit wet. Unless she washed her face, I knew right away that something was up. I think we had no choice but to narrow it down to one stock and risk it all. There's not enough time. Hannah went over everything what had happened up until now. Naturally, that failed during the investment contest. On top of that, this time the marketplace wasn't like the investment contest, where the guidelines and rules were clear. There were no obvious clues to go by, and within the current framework, you had to nail a 10% profit from out of nowhere. If that was possible, we should have been able to do it from the beginning. Can we ask advice from Barton? Hmm. On top of that, said gamble did not work during the invest contest, whose Hagan's words weren't very inspired. But instead of responding to her words, I simply said this: I'm gonna head out for a bit. Huh? Hal, where? It might just work out. I didn't ask for her as I stood up. With computer in hand, I faced my room. Hannah wanted to follow me, but her body was already at its limit, and she stayed seated, unable to get up quickly enough. Just say something to Lisa for me, if you don't mind. I said that from the hallway, but I turned away from the room with the computer tucked under my arm. Hal, I heard Kagana's voice, but I ignored it as I ran upstairs to the second floor, then heading towards the third floor and outside. Okay, let me think. Maybe we're gonna stop here. Mm, mm, yeah, I think we're gonna stop. We're gonna stop here. Um, where is? Mm, sorry. Okay. Just I'm watching here, and from what I can see, they probably gonna have indeed Haru talking with Barton, and unfortunately, it's gonna take quite some time. Mm, yeah, yeah, gonna take like more than 40 or 50 minutes. So I guess let's stop here, and then we're gonna finish our next stream if everything gonna be good, or if I'm again for some reason gonna struggle with words and reading, then we just gonna make two streams. Um, but in any case, we're gonna finish on next week. So yeah, let's stop for now. I know it was kind of short stream, but you obviously can notice that I kind of struggled today for some reason. Um, so yeah, and since this stream is mostly just about me reading, it's better than I can read at least someone clearly. I mean, at least as bad as I could. And I guess today is not the day for this. So anyway, as I said, on Saturday there won't be a World and Economic stream. So next stream will be on next Tuesday. But for now, goodbye. Have a nice time of the day.